Hi, Gene here with my thoughts for today. I'm recording this on Friday, but you're seeing it on Monday. And in between Friday and Monday, Trump he was talking about negotiating with Iran, meeting with Iran. Now, that may or may not have happened. I don't know. As I'm recording this, we'll see what happened, if anything did, and how it turned out. But it looks like the sticking point seems to be that Trump said that there would be direct talks with Iran, and Iran is saying no, they would be indirect talks through, I think they want Gitter to mediate. And Trump has said that's unacceptable. So I guess we'll know by the time you're watching this whether these meetings happened at all. And an interesting thing, this was reported in the Times of Israel, that is an English language Israeli paper, and reporting that Khamenei, Khamenei, that's how you pronounce it, Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, was pressured by the other, they call them the Council of Experts. There's a committee of all these clerics who run the country, and the supreme leader, whom they chose to lead Iran, is Khamenei. Now, Khamenei apparently didn't want to negotiate, but he was told by these other people, the other clerics, that he would be out of a job, basically, if he did not talk to the United States. So again, we'll see how that turned out. But the whole point of this, and by the way, a little digression here, Trump is making a big mistake. We've been making this mistake in the European Union for literally decades, talking with Iran. If we would have acted, the clerics came to power in 1979, the revolution. By 1980, 1981, 1982 at the latest, we should have known that they had no good intentions toward us, and we could have already removed. We had plenty of opportunities, at least, to prevent them from having a nuclear program that would go as far as it has. The minute they started operating their first centrifuge, that should have been the signal, because there's no reason for that. There are a lot of countries that have nuclear power and they don't have centrifuges because they buy uranium rods that are, if you know how a nuclear reactor works, the uranium is in these rods that are raised and lowered, and that makes that generates the energy. So I don't want to get off on a track there. But the point is that those rods cannot be weaponized. They cannot be turned into nuclear weapons. And that's what Iran could have done if they wanted nuclear power. And, they did not need centrifuges, let alone enriching to the point where they have. Where the article I read today, I forget where, there is enough. Iran has enough enriched uranium right now that they could, just to take the final step in enrichment, they could have enough fully enriched uranium for one nuke within 1 week. So the time is a waste, and Trump, at least, he's put a 2-month deadline on this, but they're not going to agree. See, the Israelis are really freaking out over this. That Trump, they were sort of blindsided that when Trump said he was going to speak with the Iranians, because it makes no sense. But number two, they're worried that he's going to make some kind of deal, like maybe not as bad as the JCPOA, the original deal that has now expired, by the way, or it's about to expire, and all the sanctions on Iran would come off under that agreement, which we abandoned. Fortunately, Trump did, and so we can keep the sanctions on and pressure our allies to keep the sanctions on. But he's wasting time by what the Israelis want. See, this is the thing. What are they? They are saying they want something similar to Libya. You may recall that Libya was developing an atomic bomb and, refining uranium. And the deal was that they abandoned that, and Gaddafi abandoned that, and outside powers, people were able to come in and just completely destroyed all the centrifuges and took the uranium out of the country. That is the minimum that Israel is demanding, that somebody has to go in there under the supervision of the United States and destroy all of the centrifuges and take all the uranium, actually just take them out of Iran. And if Iran wants nuclear power for civilian purposes, they can get rods. They can buy rods over from overseas cheaper than making it themselves, probably. So the point is that getting Iran to agree to, just as a matter of pride, getting Iran to agree to what the minimum that Israel is demanding. The maximum would also be to stop to their long-range missiles, destroy those, and stop sponsoring terrorism outside their borders, and so on and so forth. But the minimum, destroy all the centrifuges. Now, what I'm getting to, though, is what I said in the title to this, the vlog for today. Because people, I'm going to play you a video right now of a bishop. His name is Athanasius Schneider. He's an auxiliary bishop in Kazakhstan. And he's not the first one, but he is raising the alarm bell about the Islamization of Europe and how it's going to destroy their culture and European culture, Western culture. So I'm going to let him speak, and then I'll be back. I hope you can stick around. But to get to my point about if you're worried about a nuclear, maybe you can already see where I'm going with this, but if you're worried about a nuclear Iran, France has nuclear weapons, and so does England. They have already fully built, ready, deliverable, and the missiles to deliver them, I would have to assume, deliverable nuclear weapons. They have that right now. But first, let's hear from the bishop. He makes a very good, beyond what I'm going to talk about, but it's very important, so let's just listen to the bishop.
Yes, this is very serious. Now we're witnessing an invasion. They are not refugees. No, this is an invasion of mass Islamization of Europe, which already went on for at minimum 50, 60 years, Islamization in Europe. But now it is in mass. It is very evident. And so this is a global political agenda by the powerful of the world to destroy Europe culturally and religiously. I mean, to destroy Christianity ultimately in Europe, with the help of the massive Islamic population. And I was reading recently an article of a sociologist who made a calculation that maybe in 30 or 40 years, when it's now going on, so the majority of the population of Europe will be Islamic. Europe will be Islamic when this will go on, because the European people have almost no children, 1 or 2. The Muslims there, they have 5, 6 to 10 children, and so it is. You can only make mathematics, and then you can see that they will be in the majority. And so maybe it is a permission of God that then the church, being surrounded by an Islamic society which is not tolerant and which will not be tolerant, and then the Christianity, the church will be maybe purified with this, and the purification is good also sometimes.
Okay, you heard from Bishop. Now, the alarm that he's raising, just culturally, is very real, and this is something I cannot understand. This shows you how the left, liberalism destroys everything it touches. That's the saying I've heard. I agree with it. I don't think it originates with me. I wish it did. But that's 1683. The Muslims were, Muslim armies were besieging Vienna. They were stopped at the gates of Vienna. They were actually Vienna was just about to fall, and they were rescued by the King of Poland at the time, whose name I don't recall. But however old you think I am, I'm not that old. I wasn't there, and I don't remember the name from reading it. So the point is, they fought, and then Martel, the hammer, right? Charlemagne, Battle of Tours in the 8th century, stopped the Muslim invasions of Europe. And, well, you can see what happened to Egypt, never mind Israel. Egypt was Christian, had been Christian for 600 years, 6 centuries, and then the Muslim invasions of 638, I believe it was, they completely converted by the sword Egypt to Islam. So you see what happens. And so they were stopped at the gates of Vienna, stopped in Tours, and now you have fools like, if we're talking now about Germany, you have fools like the past chancellor and maybe the one before that, Merkel, I think it started with, it was Merkel. Wir schaffen das. That was her saying, we can do this. Just threw open the borders for all these from third world Middle East countries, and they were coming in, and actually it did start long before that, because Turks were coming in as guest workers long before, for decades and decades before, and before Merkel, and it just went on and they stayed there. They had children, and you just heard from the bishop that the birth rate among these Muslims, even if you stopped the immigration cold, you have a potential problem just as the difference in the birth rates. The only solution or way that could be reversed is actually what's happening in Israel and Judea and Samaria, and not Gaza right now, but those two areas, Judea and Samaria. What you're having is, before you had that's the only place where westernized population, the Jewish birth rate has exceeded the Arab birth rate, Muslim birth rate. Everywhere in the Middle East except for Iraq is the only place that has a higher birth rate. So it's reversed, and one of the reasons is possibly the main reason is I actually played you a video in an earlier thought of a woman, an Arab Israeli woman, just say, thanking Israel and how much grateful she was to be an Israeli Arab and not an Arab in one of these other surrounding countries. But she talked about how she was able to get a degree and have a professional career. And that's what's happening. These Arab women are getting educated, and just like in a Western country, as women get educated, they have fewer, they're not going to stay home and have 9 children. So that's a possible change in Europe, and there's a possible that these Muslims would become westernized, but it could also go the other way, which gets to the point that I was making, that if you have I guess the alarm is being sounded now, but you look at well, Germany doesn't have nukes, so no problem there, but France does and England does. And if Muslims become the majority population of France or England or both, never mind France or England, a Muslim France or England getting nukes, they'll already have them. The nukes are already there. All they have to do is have enough of a population to win an election, and bang, there you have it. Hopefully they would have the circumspection that Pakistan does. Pakistan is the only Muslim country that has a nuclear weapon, and they haven't used it, fortunately. And one reason, obviously, is because India right next door has nukes. But you see the potential there, that all this focus on Iran and just ignoring what could be happening, what is developing slowly, what potentially is happening in Europe, in the European Union, in France and England. And that's it. That's a thought I want to leave you with. That's the one I had. So thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Your opinion, your thoughts are welcome in the comment section below the video. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.